protests aren't just taking place at Cornell. They're happening on college campuses all over the country. Pro-Palestinian protesters demanding universities divest from companies profiting from the war and publicly calling for a ceasefire, while some Jewish students say they feel unsafe on campus. Here's ABC's Phil Lipoff with the details.
Hands up the Middle East.
Chaos on college campuses across the country as protests over the Israel-Hamas war continue to grow. Since last week, demonstrations and tent encampments popping up at least 48 colleges across the country. In Boston, authorities began clearing an encampment from Northeastern University's campus on Saturday. School officials say what began as a student demonstration 2 days ago was infiltrated by professional organizers with no affiliation to the university. Some protesters hurling anti-Semitic slurs, the university saying, "We cannot tolerate this kind of hate on our campus." At least 100 people arrested and charged with trespassing. Students at California Polytech's Humboldt campus taking over a building as part of their protest. The school telling ABC News protesters are demanding, among other things, the school disclose all holdings and collaborations with Israel, cut ties with all Israeli universities, divest from companies and corporations which are profiting from the Israel-Hamas war, and publicly call for a ceasefire. At George Washington University in the nation's capital, the school says anyone who remains in University Yard risks temporary suspension and being barred from campus.
We are here to stay. We will not give up. We won't rest till you divest.
And at Columbia University, where pro-Palestinian protests began earlier this month, some Jewish students say they feel unsafe on campus.
On this campus, people chant that Zionists are not welcome, calling on, quote, death to the Jewish state.
Meantime, outside the university, pro-Israel counter-protesters gathered on Friday, calling for the release of all Israeli hostages taken by Hamas on October 7th. Columbia's Senate, which includes both faculty and students, voted to create a task force to look into the administration's leadership during these protests, including the decision to call in the NYPD last week. Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.